Let's head out to Sin City for a zombie apocalypse. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone's doing well out there, and I am back from my little vacation with a brand new movie review, and we're going to talk about Army of the Dead. This movie just dropped on last Friday on Netflix, May 21st. A week before that, it was out in like 300 or 400 theaters, I believe. It's rated R. It's 2 hours and 28 minutes long. Had a $90 million budget. And this is Zack Snyder's film through and through. It was co-written by Zack Snyder, produced by Zack Snyder and his wife, and directed by Zack Snyder. And he was also his own DP for this film. Now, this film stars Dave Bautista as Scott Ward. He is the leader of this mercenary group that goes into Las Vegas to retrieve the money. This is also a spoiler review, by the way, so if you haven't seen the film yet, shut it off, go watch the film, and come on back and see if you agree with my assessment of this film. Omari Hardwick plays Vanderho. He is one of Scott Ward's other mercenary friends that go in with him, and they worked together before. We'll talk about that in a second. Garrett Dillahunt is in this film as Martin. Now, he's no stranger to zombie entertainment. He was in The Walking Dead for a little while, and he plays the head of security for Tanaka, the gentleman who owns this casino, who hatches the plan to send this team in to get his money. And Hiroki Sanada plays Tanaka, and again, like I said, he is the one who asked Scott Ward to go into Vegas to retrieve hundreds of millions of dollars out of his vault of his casino. And Richard Citroni plays Zeus in this film, the main zombie king, I guess you could call him that. And what reminded me of when I saw the movie, I didn't know he was in the film at first until I saw him on screen, and it reminded me of, he played in John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars, Big Daddy Mars. And there's some similarities between those two roles. And it just reminded me, I'm not going to dwell on that, I just thought that was kind of cool that he was in Ghost of Mars, and their characters are kind of similar. Now, this film has a great premise, okay? It's basically a zombie outbreak breaks out in Las Vegas. The United States of America walls it off with these shipping containers, and these guys get asked to go in and get this money out for the guarantee of so much money. And they go in, and there's zombies in there, different levels of zombies, and shit goes wrong because it has to, because it's a zombie apocalypse movie. Right in the beginning of the film, we see these army transports going down this road outside of Vegas, and they get in this accident by a couple whom just got married, and the wife decided to do the husband a biggie on their wedding night, and they hit the army truck because the guy's not paying attention, and there's an explosion, and the steel container they were carrying flies off, the door opens, and our soldiers meet a horrible end because they meet Zeus for the first time, and then he goes off to Vegas, and during the credit sequence, which is a really awesome credit sequence, we see this mayhem taking place in Vegas, and then we're introduced right away to how they walled off the city. So very Escape from New York. You can't help but compare it a little bit to Escape from New York because of that concept. And then we're introduced to Scott Ward, and we know from seeing the beginning of the film that the credits that he and his team had gone in to save the citizens of Las Vegas, and they lost some friends, and he's still haunted by that. And he's estranged from his daughter because we see through flashback that he had to kill his wife because she turned into a zombie, and she was trying to get to his daughter, and he had to stab her in the head. And him and his daughter haven't spoken in a while. And he's working at this little shitty diner in the middle of nowhere when Tanaka comes in and offers him this job. And then he assembles his team, some of which he's worked with before, like Vanderho, this other woman who he worked with before, and this helicopter pilot that they know, because they need a helicopter pilot to go in with them, because there's a helicopter on top of the casino so they can fly out. They can't fly in, but they can fly out when they successfully get the money. And then Martin's going in with them, and then they get these other people. Now this is some of the problems I have with the film. We'll get into that, about how he assembles his team. I didn't buy it, but okay, whatever. And he talks his daughter into taking them in. She works at these refugee camps outside of the wall around Las Vegas. And some of the people go in to look for some of the relatives that were lost when they closed off the city. And there's this coyote, they call her, that takes people in. And she took this woman in that Scott Ward's daughter is very attached to, and she helps take care of her daughters. And now she wants to go in with him and his team to see if he can find her, because some people have survived going in and coming back out, although not many, and it's established early on. They go in, and like I said, eventually shit goes wrong. They are able to get to the money, but they have to fight their way out, and they suffer severe casualties, and at the end of the film, it's left on a cliffhanger for setting up a sequel, I assume. And I've read that Zack Snyder does have a sequel in mind, so that doesn't surprise me by seeing the end of the film. Okay, what's really good about this film? I think the film looks pretty. Zack Snyder does a nice job shooting it. He's on his own DP. Nobody will ever accuse Zack Snyder of not shooting a pretty looking movie. That's neither here nor there. Everybody can agree that he shoots very nice films. So that's not none of the problem here. And the opening scene is fantastic. I love the credit sequence in Vegas showing the mayhem. They don't shy away from the gore. So if you're a zombie fan, we all know to have a really good zombie film, you expect some really good gore, and the gore is excellent here. I think Dave Bautista's pretty good. Omari Hardwick's awesome in this film. Garrett Dillahunt's really good, but his character is so, you know, right from when he talks that he's going to be the scumbag to try to screw him over at some point, which does happen, which wasn't a surprise. I don't know why it was a surprise to Dave Bautista's character either. He should have saw this coming, because he even says to Tanaka, I don't like you, Mr. Tanaka, but I'm going to take the job because I need the money. So right there, he must know his reputation, and he mustn't have a good one, and you had to be a little skeptical of this guy going with you, but we're still on the positives. The zombie makeup is fantastic. I like the different hierarchies of the zombies, and they set the world, he does take his time to set the world up pretty well, although there's a lot of things that aren't explained that are like, what was that? Don't think I didn't notice the robot zombies. I don't know why they were there, and they never got explained. I don't need everything explained to me, but that's a big what the F moment when I see that one of the zombies apparently is a robot. I think there was more than one I saw when they got killed, and I'm like, why? Where'd that come from? There's some really cool action scenes in the film. This one woman who goes in, part of the group, has a really great sequence when she gets trapped in the kitchen and the zombies start waking up, and she has to fight her way out, and it's a really good scene. I like that scene a lot, and there's some really good action towards the end of the film, and the stuff with the zombie tiger is super cool as well. So there's a lot of positive things here. But overall, I did have some issues with this film. I wanted to love this film since I first heard about it, since I first saw the first trailer. So I'm going to say up front, I like Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. I love Justice League, the 4 hours Zack Snyder cut. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I love 300. I like BVS, the Ultimate Edition. I like Man of Steel. I liked his Watchmen film. I love his Dawn of the Dead remake. I don't think it's as good as the original, but for different reasons, but it's still an excellent zombie film. So that being said, I had high hopes for this film. It didn't quite deliver. It delivered a lot of fun stuff. I had fun watching it. But the elephant in the room is the length of this film. And I'm not the only one who said this. I've read other reviews and people have said the exact same thing. This movie, I'm going to go a little bolder. I've seen 15, 20 minutes. This movie's a half hour too long. There is no reason for this film to be 2.5 hours. Absolutely not. There are whole sections of the film. There's a character, and I'm going to talk about this character in a second, that could be totally cut out of the film. And it would help move the plot forward faster because her character is totally not necessary. It's only there as a plot device for a few things to happen, and she's annoying as hell, and I wish they would have cut her character, and that is Scott Ward's daughter. Her character, if you think about it at the end of the film, her character is not necessary at all. All she's there for is to screw over the group and for him to have to save her towards the end of the film, and she basically just extends the movie with these little side plots that doesn't need to be extended with. If they would have cut her character out, they would have cut some meat off this film, which I think it needs to be tightened up. It's too long. There's no reason for this to be 2 hours and 28 minutes long. I say there's at least 30 minutes that could have been dropped off this film. I understand Zack Snyder was left alone creatively by Netflix and he could do whatever he want. I think he should have cut more off this film, but it was his film. Whatever he wants to do, I just feel for me it's too long. And I've watched it twice. I watched it once on Saturday at my parents' house who I was visiting over the weekend. And I kind of missed some things, so I wanted to watch it again because I didn't care for it as much as I hoped I would. So I went back and watched it again last night, and a lot of the problems were still there, and I got caught up on some of the things I did miss. Garrett Dillahunt's character, it's another character that you know he's going to screw over the group at any moment. He's the Paul Reiser character from Aliens in this film, only he knows how to use a gun, and Paul Reiser wasn't really a military man. You knew he was going to screw you over from the beginning. I knew as soon as he opened his mouth, he is only there to be a heel later in the movie, and he sure enough is when he reveals the real plot of why they were sent in by Tanaka. Because it wasn't for the money, it was for one of the zombies' heads that they could do research on. Because there must be some kind of research project they were developing that went awry. That's why they created Zeus. I'm assuming they don't explain it. I mean, it could be just like Romero's zombies where it's never explained why they came back to life. So his character also is totally unnecessary. I wish they would have just skipped that part, made him part of the group, and I would have been happier with that character. That character was totally unnecessary too, just there to screw the group. They didn't need any of that when you have a city walled off with zombies in it. You have enough to deal with. You don't need this jackass pulling shit at the end of the film. The other thing is how they assemble the group, and I know this is nitpicking shit, but so Scott Ward goes to the people that survived went in with him the first time to save people. Then they find this guy. Now I don't mind his character, but they find this guy on YouTube killing zombies in a back alley in Vegas, and they go and ask him to be part of the team. I'm like, besides shooting these zombies with a handgun in a back alley in Vegas, what training does he have that led you to believe that you want to take him in to the city? He's never been in a combat situation, not that you know of. They don't do any research on him. They just take him and this other, and when he shows up, when they go over to Tanaka with the plan, he just shows up with 2 other people, and Scott Ward's like, okay, you can go in with us. It's like, what? Did you ever see Predator? There's better ways to assemble a team here. So I was kind of annoyed with that. I didn't mind the characters that went in, the guy and the girl that goes in with them. They were fine. It's just I didn't like how it was too convenient. The safe cracking guy that goes in with them, I didn't mind him to a point, but there's a gag in the film where he screams a lot when a zombie shows up. And after the first 2 times, it was like, I think he does it 3 or 4. It's like, you could drop that now. That shtick's old as hell. But I did like his interactions with Vanderho in this film. I thought their chemistry was really nice, especially towards the end of the film. I could complain about other stuff, but those are some of the ones that I have major complaints with. And the runtime is the big elephant in the room. That's what his daughter and the runtime kind of brought this down some points for me. His daughter's character just doesn't work. I didn't like her. She came off as a total bitch, and she was very selfish to the rest of the group. And she was unnecessary. You could have shortened the film by cutting her totally out of the film, and you could have got the ball rolling faster. Because, like, again, there's no reason for this movie to be almost 2.5 hours. Absolutely none. The story does not require that kind of length. And I don't mind a long movie. This is just a film that did not need to be that long. And honestly, I had fun with it, but it drags in spots. And watching it a second time, I even felt it more. This is not a film I'm going to revisit like I do Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake. I mean, I know he's going for, it's kind of like an Escape from New York, Aliens vibe here. I don't think he ever reaches Aliens' level of greatness here. And even once the team's assembled, there's some of the people even on the team I didn't care about. I mean, they would try to set them up, but I just didn't care. I cared more about the group that went in, and you can't help it compare it to Predator. I just, they stopped, and then here's the other thing. I got to mention this because this got on my nerves. There's at least 3 times during the film, and probably more, where characters now are on a time crunch because Vegas is going to get nuked. They have a deadline. They know when the bomb's going to drop. Once the safe cracking guy opens the safe, they have like 20 minutes, I think they say, or maybe a little over 20 minutes to get out of the city before the bomb hits. Because the government has decided they're going to destroy the city to kill all the zombies, get rid of this problem. Scott Ward, they might have about 30-some minutes or 40-some, maybe an hour, I don't know. But they go up to the roof to start the generator, and him and his daughter are there, and they decide to stop and have a conversation. Now, they're on a time crunch, and they're having a personal conversation on the rooftop. I get their relationship is strained, but I don't think that's the time to have the daughter-daddy talk about why they haven't been around each other for a long time. That is not the time, people. And there's another scene in the basement. Here's what I meant by 20 minutes left. They get the safe open, the people start packing up the money, the rest of the team. And Batista's character realizes his daughter took off to try to find, this is when she screws with the team, to find this woman who went in. And when he realizes he's going to go find her. Now they have 20 minutes left. Him and this woman who are very close, who worked together before, stand there outside the elevator and have a conversation. And I'm like, you just have 20 minutes to get out of the city or you're all going to die. And then that woman ends up getting killed, which I didn't like that they killed her, but they did. Mostly everybody dies in this film. And then he goes and gets the chopper and has to go save his daughter. And when they're getting into the chopper to leave the city, they have just a few minutes left. And right before he steps on the chopper, him and his daughter are having another conversation about their relationship, giving the big Zeus enough time to get up on the rooftop and jump on the helicopter when all hell breaks loose. And they barely make it out of the city when the bomb drops. It's just too convenient that they stop to have these conversations. There was no reason to stop the film dead in its tracks when you've already built momentum towards the end of the film and you're stopping dead to have these conversations. It didn't work for me. I couldn't stand it. He did that. I really think it was a big mistake. overall, I still had fun with this movie. The opening of this film, I'm gonna stop bitching, took 5 weeks to shoot because he wanted to shoot at dusk and use natural light, so it took him 5 weeks to shoot that film. And Zack Snyder first wrote the first draft of his version of this film 10 years ago, so it took that long to get here. Matter of fact, Warner Brothers was originally going to make it, but they sold the rights to Netflix, and Netflix gave Zack Snyder money to go off and make this. Now, at the end of the day, I still had fun with this film. This will not go down. I don't think it's as good as his Dawn of the Dead remake. Honestly, I will not watch this like I do his Dawn of the Dead remake. I think Dawn of the Dead 2004 has a lot of rewatchability. This one, I don't think so. Maybe down the line, a few years from now, I'll watch it again, but I'm not in a hurry to rewatch it. I've just watched it twice in 3 days, and I'm good for a while. But I would give Army of the Dead, I almost said Dawn of the Dead, Army of the Dead a 6 out of 10. It's okay. There are some very fun things. It's a very pretty movie. There's some awesome effects. There's some cool action scenes, but overall, I was disappointed, and the length's a big one, and Scott Ward's daughter is another big one, and amongst some other things. So yes, 6 out of 10 for Army of the Dead. Have you seen this film? Leave a comment down below, let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I will be back later in the week with Escape from LA to finish off my escape movies from John Carpenter. Until then, I hope everyone's doing well out there, and I'll be back soon. Until then, bye.